Hello, welcome to the very first instalment of Simon Says, an opportunity for me to let you know what's going on in the world of Behave to Learn, share some stories and some of the experiences that I've had in schools over the last couple of months, and an opportunity for me to answer some of the many questions that I get emailed or tweeted on a regular basis. So to start off the very first Simon Says, I thought I'd share with you the most common question that I get asked by teachers and professionals in the world of education. And that's quite simply, what is the main thing that influences behaviour in schools? Now, if you'd asked me that question probably a few years ago, I'd have given you an answer along the lines of, well, that's really tricky because obviously we all work in different settings and different environments, and of course every young person that we come across is an individual and they display different behaviour and they come from different backgrounds. But to be honest, after doing this for a few years, actually there is an answer to that, which I'm going to share with you now. If you've followed my blogs and seen some of the things that I've written in the past, you'll already know the answer to this because it's something I've written about a lot. The answer is staff attitude. Actually, regardless of the setting, regardless of the classroom environment, staff attitude is the biggest thing that influences the behaviour of the young people, of the children that we work with on a daily basis. You see, actually staff, we've got the power to influence change, and we've got the power to influence the ethos and the culture of behaviour that is displayed in schools. Now, if we're being brutally honest, sometimes we can all put our hands up and say, do you know what, I didn't deal with that behaviour in the best way that I could. Quite often that scenario, let's be honest, is a Friday afternoon. We've had a long week, we're really super tired, and sometimes if we look back on how we've dealt with behaviour, we acknowledge that we could have done a better job. But the other thing when dealing with behaviour and with looking at staff attitude is sometimes, if we're honest, actually behaviour management is designed for us as teachers and not necessarily designed in the best interests of the young people. Let me explain that a little bit further to you. Quite often when we deal with behaviour, actually what we're looking to do is create a negative behaviour experience for that young person. We want that young person to feel so bad, to feel so awful about what they've done that hopefully they're never going to do it again. And we create a bad experience. Now that can be anything from keeping that child in at lunchtime, it can be giving them a detention after school, or actually it can be us having stern words to the point where they actually feel a little bit uncomfortable and they feel challenged with regards to the behaviour that they have displayed that we feel is wrong. Actually, ultimately, a lot of behaviour management is about us as staff members feeling that justice has been done. It's us feeling that that young person has learned their lesson, and actually the behaviour that we want to see that young person display is possibly them sticking their bottom lip out, looking a bit like this, them going very quiet in a lesson, and actually as teachers we feel good. They have learned their lesson because they're thinking about what they've done and they're in a bad place. I'm going to tell you now, that doesn't work. It's absolute rubbish. We know this because if you think about the young people that you keep in on a regular basis at lunchtime for the negative behaviour that they've displayed, it's the same young people, right? It's the same children that are coming back to us lunchtime after lunchtime as a sanction to their behaviour. Now, the question and challenge I want to ask you now is, if we're keeping these young people in on a regular basis at lunchtime, are they learning from their mistakes? Are they changing the behaviour that they're displaying? Well, obviously the answer is no, because we keep them in all the time. Now actually, the definition of an insanity is to do the same thing over and over again and expect a different outcome. Now, I'm not suggesting for a second that any teachers out there are going insane, although you might feel like that sometimes. But what I'm suggesting is, if we are sanctioning young people and children on a regular basis with the same sanctions and the same consequences and it's not working, actually maybe we need to change it. And actually that starts with us. Maybe we need to change the attitude that we come in at when dealing with those young people. Think back to when you were at school. If you were given a detention at school, how did you feel about the teacher that gave you the detention? Did you actually feel a warmth and a positivity towards that teacher? Or actually, did you feel that that teacher, that member of staff, possibly, well, we might have had a few choice words, if we're honest, to say about that member of staff. So let's think about the way we deal with behaviour in schools. If we're creating a negative opportunity, just like when we were in detentions, we're not creating a positive relationship between us and that young person. So actually, why would that young person ever want to behave any differently for us? Why will they want to make the right choices when actually they don't have a very high opinion of us because we might be that idiot teacher that gives them detentions? Because when we got detentions in school, actually, when you went back to, let's say, for example, the English lesson, where the English teacher might have given us a lesson and given us a detention, did we think, oh, I got a detention with that member of staff, I must behave better? Now, there's a small minority, there's a small fraction of young people and children that will work for. But on the whole, the children that display challenging behaviour, their behaviour won't improve because they're sat there in the lesson thinking to themselves, well, that idiot gave me a detention last lesson, so I don't want to do any work for them. And obviously we know long term we're not going to make progress like that, and we're not going to change the challenging behaviour we see in some of the young people. So we need to get out of the mindset of creating punishments. We need to get out of the mindset of creating negative experiences, and actually the key is create learning opportunities. How are we going to engage with the young person and create a learning opportunity where they are going to better themselves and make good decisions for the future? So there you go, there's something to think about at the start of the term. I will be back with many more of these, hopefully. If you want to ask a question, if you've got a scenario that you want some free advice for, please email inquiries@behavetolearn.co.uk. Alternatively, you can find us on Twitter and our handle is @behavetolearn. Please like and share this video. I look forward to sharing many more with you soon. Cheers.